I'm Dr. Michael Harrison, and tonight I want to share something that could genuinely change how you feel when you wake up tomorrow morning, and the morning after that, and every morning for years to come. Here is what I have learned after 40 years of treating patients. The hours before you go to sleep might be the most important hours of your entire day. The 90 minutes before your head hits the pillow can determine whether you wake up sharp and energized or foggy and exhausted. And after treating thousands of patients over 65, I can tell you that almost no one gets this right. Tonight we are talking about cortisol, your body's main stress hormone. You have probably heard that term before, but what you might not know is that cortisol follows a very specific pattern throughout the day. It should be highest in the morning, giving you energy to face the day, and it should be lowest at night, allowing your brain to do something absolutely remarkable while you sleep. When cortisol stays high at night, your brain cannot do its job. It cannot repair damaged neurons. It cannot clear out waste products that accumulate during waking hours. It cannot move your memories from temporary storage into permanent storage. You wake up feeling like you barely slept, even after 8 hours in bed. And over time, research suggests this pattern may actually accelerate cognitive decline. A study published in the journal Neurology followed over 1,500 adults over 65 for several years. What they found stopped me in my tracks. Seniors with elevated nighttime cortisol experienced nearly 30% faster decline in memory and thinking skills compared to those with normal cortisol patterns. Most of these people did not feel particularly stressed during the day. Their bodies were producing excess cortisol at night without them even realizing it. But here is the part that gives me hope. Nighttime cortisol can be lowered. Deep sleep can be restored. Memory pathways can heal. Your brain has a remarkable capacity to repair itself when you give it the right conditions. You do not need expensive medications with concerning side effects. You do not need fancy supplements or sleep gadgets costing hundreds of dollars. What you need are 6 specific habits, backed by research from some of the most respected institutions in the world, that shift your brain from a stress pattern into a healing pattern. In this video, I am sharing all 6 habits with you. We are counting down from number 6 to number 1, and I have saved the most powerful one for last. Number 1 involves something so simple that most people dismiss it entirely, but the research on its effects on memory is extraordinary. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University called it one of the most effective natural interventions they have ever studied for improving sleep quality and protecting memory in older adults. Before we dive in, I want to be clear. While I am a physician sharing evidence-based information, this video is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for personalized medical advice from your own doctor, who knows your specific health history. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen. That said, let us get into it. Before we begin with number 6, I am curious about something. How many hours of sleep are you actually getting right now? And more importantly, how do you feel when you wake up? Drop a comment below. I read every single one and often respond personally. Your experience matters, and it helps me understand what you are dealing with so I can create more helpful content. Now let us start with habit number 6. Number 6 is cool your body temperature starting about 90 minutes before bed. Your body temperature plays a far more critical role in sleep quality than most people realize, especially after 65. For your brain to initiate deep sleep, your core body temperature needs to drop by approximately 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. This is not optional. This is fundamental to how human sleep works. When your core temperature drops, it sends a signal to your brain that says it is time to shift into repair mode, time to lower cortisol, time to release melatonin, and begin the restorative processes that protect your memory. Here is the problem. As we age, our internal thermostat becomes less efficient. A study in the journal Sleep Medicine found that older adults have significantly reduced ability to cool down naturally before bed. Your hypothalamus still sends the signals, but your blood vessels do not respond as quickly as they did when you were younger. I had a patient, let us call her Dorothy, a 71-year-old retired school teacher who came to me complaining of terrible sleep. She told me something I will never forget. Dr. Harrison, I have not felt truly rested in years. I sleep, but I do not feel like I sleep. It made perfect sense. Dorothy was keeping her bedroom at 74 degrees because she felt cold getting into bed. But that warmth was preventing her brain from ever getting the temperature signal it needed to enter deep sleep. Her cortisol stayed elevated all night. Her melatonin production was suppressed. We made a simple change. Dorothy started taking a warm shower about 90 minutes before bed. This sounds counterintuitive, but here is the science. When you step out of warm water, your blood vessels dilate rapidly and release heat from your core. Your temperature drops faster than it would naturally. Researchers at the University of Texas found that a warm bath or shower lasting just 10 to 15 minutes, taken 1 to 2 hours before bed, helped participants fall asleep an average of 10 minutes faster and improved their deep sleep quality by nearly 36%. Dorothy also lowered her bedroom temperature to 65 degrees. Within 2 weeks, she told me she felt like a different person. That exhausted look she had in our first meeting was replaced by something that looked a lot like hope. Now, I am not telling you Dorothy's story to promise that you will have the exact same results. Everyone is different, but what her story shows is that sometimes the simplest changes can have the most profound effects. Keep your bedroom between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Consider breathable cotton or bamboo sheets, and try that warm shower or bath about 90 minutes before you want to sleep. Your brain will thank you. With your temperature optimized, let us move to number 5, which addresses something happening in your gut that directly affects your brain chemistry and cortisol levels. Number 5 is stop eating at least 3 hours before your bedtime. What you eat matters for sleep. But research now shows that when you stop eating might matter even more, especially for controlling nighttime cortisol and protecting memory function. Your digestive system follows its own internal clock, what scientists call your peripheral circadian rhythm. When you eat too close to bedtime, you force your body to perform an energy-intensive process at the exact time it should be winding down for sleep. Research from the Salk Institute for Biological Studies found that late-night eating disrupts your circadian rhythm in ways that keep cortisol elevated for hours after you fall asleep. A follow-up study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed that participants who ate within 3 hours of bedtime had cortisol levels that were 23% higher during the first half of the night compared to those who finished eating earlier. This matters tremendously for memory. During deep sleep, your brain activates the glymphatic system, essentially your brain's waste removal network. This system flushes out toxins and metabolic byproducts, including a protein called beta amyloid. When cortisol stays elevated from late-night digestion, this cleaning process gets disrupted. Researchers at the University of Rochester found that excessive beta amyloid buildup is associated with cognitive decline and memory problems. I want to pause here and remind you, I am not suggesting you make drastic changes without speaking to your doctor, especially if you have diabetes or other conditions affecting blood sugar regulation. I am sharing today may inform a conversation with your physician, but significant changes to eating patterns should be made under their guidance. Aim to finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed. If you typically sleep at 10, finish eating by 7. This does not mean going to bed hungry, which can actually raise cortisol on its own. Focus on a satisfying dinner with adequate protein and healthy fats to keep you full through the night. If you absolutely must have something closer to bedtime, keep it very light. A small handful of nuts or a few slices of turkey. Avoid anything high in sugar or refined carbohydrates, as these cause blood sugar spikes that trigger cortisol release. Also avoid spicy or acidic foods that can cause heartburn when you lie down. The goal is to have your digestive system essentially finished with its major work by the time you go to sleep. Let your body fully focus on rest and repair instead of digestion. Now that your eating schedule is optimized, the next habit addresses something you might be doing every evening without realizing how much it sabotages your sleep. Number 4 is dim all lights and block blue light, starting 2 hours before sleep. The artificial light in your home is waging a silent war against your sleep hormones, and this battle becomes even more difficult to win after 65. For millions of years, humans only had natural light. When the sun went down, darkness signaled to our brains that it was time to reduce cortisol, increase melatonin, and prepare for sleep. Our modern world has completely disrupted this ancient system. Research from Harvard Medical School demonstrated that exposure to bright light in the evening suppresses melatonin production by up to 50%, while keeping cortisol elevated, well past its natural decline time. For older adults, this is particularly devastating because melatonin production already decreases significantly with age. A study in the Journal of Pineal Research found that adults over 65 produce only about half the melatonin they did in their 30s. Blue light from screens is especially problematic. The wavelengths closely mimic natural daylight. When your eyes detect blue light in the evening, your brain interprets it as a signal that it is still daytime, triggering alertness hormones and delaying your natural wind-down process. This reminds me of Harold, a 73-year-old former engineer who was extremely skeptical of anything that sounded like New Age health advice. He came to me because he was waking up at 3 in the morning every night and could not fall back asleep. When I asked about his evening routine, Harold admitted he watched the news on his tablet until about 11, then read articles on his phone until he felt sleepy. His bedroom had a streetlight right outside the window, and he had a digital clock with bright blue numbers on his nightstand. I said, "Harold, your bedroom is lit up like a command center. Your brain thinks it is noon in there." He was skeptical but agreed to try an experiment. He bought amber-tinted glasses to wear after 9 in the evening, got blackout curtains for his bedroom, replaced his digital clock with one that had red numbers, and committed to putting away screens by 9:30. 3 weeks later, Harold called my office. "Dr. Harrison," he said, "I slept through until 6 this morning. That has not happened in 5 years." A study from the University of Toronto confirmed what Harold experienced. Participants who wore amber-tinted glasses for 3 hours before bed produced significantly more melatonin and reported better sleep quality. About 2 hours before bed, begin dimming the lights throughout your home. Switch from overhead lighting to table lamps. Replace bright white bulbs with warmer amber-toned bulbs. Enable night mode on any screens you use. Consider blue light-blocking glasses. And make your bedroom as dark as possible, using blackout curtains or a comfortable sleep mask. Your brain evolved over millions of years to sleep in darkness. Give it what it needs. Alright, stay with me here. We are halfway through, and the next 2 habits are where things get really powerful. You are cooling your body temperature to trigger the natural sleep signal. You are finishing eating 3 hours before bed, so your digestive system is not keeping cortisol elevated. You are dimming lights and blocking blue light, so your brain knows it is actually nighttime. These 3 habits set the stage. The next 2 actively reduce cortisol and prepare your nervous system for deep, restorative sleep. If you know someone who struggles with sleep or memory concerns, please share this video with them. You might be giving them information their doctor never had time to explain. Now let us move to habit number 3, which directly targets your stress hormones using something you do 12 to 16 times every minute without even thinking about it. Number 3 is practice slow, deep breathing for 10 minutes before sleep. Your breath is one of the most powerful tools you have for controlling cortisol. It is completely free, requires no equipment, and is available to you every single night. Research from Stanford University School of Medicine found that slow, controlled breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for rest and relaxation. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you send a direct signal to your brain that you are safe, that there is no threat, and that it is okay to lower cortisol production. A study in the journal Frontiers in Psychology showed that just 5 minutes of slow breathing reduced cortisol levels by an average of 15% in participants over 60. When extended to 10 minutes, the reduction was even more significant, and the calming effects lasted well into the first sleep cycle. This works because of the vagus nerve, a remarkable nerve running from your brainstem through your chest and into your abdomen. When you breathe slowly, especially when you make your exhale longer than your inhale, you stimulate the vagus nerve in a way that tells your brain to shift out of stress mode. For older adults, this is particularly important. As we age, our stress response tends to stay activated longer. Cortisol can remain elevated for hours or even days after a stressful event. Regular breathing practice before bed helps train your nervous system to shift into relaxation mode more quickly. Here is the technique I recommend. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4 seconds. Hold that breath gently for a count of 4 seconds. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6 to 8 seconds. The key is making your exhale longer than your inhale. This is what activates the parasympathetic response most strongly. Continue this pattern for 10 full minutes. If your mind wanders to worries or tomorrow's tasks, gently bring it back to your breathing without judgment. Some people find it helpful to place one hand on their chest and one on their belly, ensuring they are breathing deeply into their diaphragm rather than taking shallow chest breaths. Over time, this practice becomes easier. Many patients tell me that simply beginning the breathing pattern triggers an immediate sense of calm because their brain has learned to associate it with relaxation. Breathing sets the foundation, but the next habit takes relaxation to an even deeper level by engaging your body's natural tension release mechanism. Number 2 is release physical tension using progressive muscle relaxation. Your muscles hold on to stress in ways you might not even notice until you consciously release it. This hidden tension keeps your cortisol elevated throughout the night. Research from the American Psychological Association has shown that progressive muscle relaxation, which involves systematically tensing and then releasing different muscle groups, reduces cortisol levels by up to 25% when practiced before bed. A study at the University of Massachusetts found that older adults who practice this technique for just 15 minutes before sleep experienced significantly deeper sleep and reported feeling more mentally clear the following morning. The connection between physical tension and cortisol is direct. When your muscles are tight, they send signals to your brain that you are in a state of readiness, a state of potential danger. Your brain responds by keeping stress hormones circulating, I had a patient named Robert, a 70-year-old retired contractor, who told me his shoulders were always up around his ears by the end of the day. He did not feel stressed, he said. He just could not seem to relax. When I taught Robert the progressive muscle relaxation technique, he was amazed at how much tension he had been carrying without realizing it. After 3 weeks of nightly practice, his wife told him he had stopped grinding his teeth in his sleep, something he had done for decades. What makes this technique particularly effective for memory is its impact on sleep architecture. Researchers at the University of Arizona discovered that participants who practiced progressive muscle relaxation before bed spent more time in slow-wave sleep, the deepest phase where memory consolidation primarily occurs. During slow-wave sleep, your brain replays information from the day and transfers it from short-term to long-term storage. Here is how to practice. Lie down about 15 minutes before you want to sleep. You are going to move through each major muscle group, one at a time. Start with your feet. Curl your toes tightly for about 5 seconds, then release completely. Notice the sensation of relaxation for 15 to 20 seconds before moving on. Continue moving upward. Your calves, your thighs, your buttocks, your stomach, your chest, your hands, making fists, your forearms, your upper arms, your shoulders, your neck, and finally your face, including your jaw and forehead. For each muscle group, the tension should be firm, but not painful, and the release should be complete and sudden. Pay attention to the contrast between tension and relaxation. This awareness trains your nervous system to let go of stress. By the time you finish the full sequence, you should feel noticeably heavier and more relaxed. Many people fall asleep before even completing the sequence, which is perfectly fine. The technique works by teaching your body that it is safe to fully let go, something that becomes increasingly difficult as we age unless we actively practice it. Now we arrive at the most powerful habit of all, the one that research shows can dramatically improve memory consolidation while you sleep. Number 1 is write down tomorrow's worries and 3 gratitudes before bed. This final habit might seem simple, almost too simple, but the science behind it is extraordinary, and it explains why researchers at Johns Hopkins University called it one of the most effective natural interventions for improving sleep quality and memory in older adults. The act of writing before bed works on 2 powerful mechanisms simultaneously. First, it empties your mind of worrying thoughts that would otherwise keep cortisol elevated throughout the night. When you write down tomorrow's tasks and concerns, you tell your brain that these items have been captured. They are on paper. They do not need to be held in active memory. Your brain can let go. A study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that participants who spent just 5 minutes writing a to-do list for the following day fell asleep 9 minutes faster and had better sleep quality than those who did not write at all. Second, when you specifically write gratitudes, it shifts your brain into a positive emotional state that promotes the release of oxytocin and serotonin. These hormones directly counteract cortisol's negative effects on memory. Research from the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley found that people who practice gratitude writing before bed showed improved memory recall by up to 68% compared to control groups. This happens because gratitude activates regions of the brain associated with learning and memory formation, essentially priming your brain for the consolidation work it will do during sleep. Before I let you go, I want to share one more story. I had a patient named Margaret, 68 years old, when she first came to see me. She was terrified because she had started forgetting important things. She forgot her granddaughter's birthday. She forgot a lunch appointment with her oldest friend. She told me, "Dr. Harrison, I feel like I am losing myself." Margaret's sleep had deteriorated over 2 years. She would lie awake worrying about everything: her health, her finances, whether her children were okay. Her mind would race for hours. When she finally fell asleep, she would wake up at 3 in the morning with her heart pounding. We implemented all 6 habits I have shared with you today, but the one that made the biggest difference for Margaret was this writing practice. Every night she would write down her worries for tomorrow, getting them out of her head and onto paper. Then she would write 3 specific things she was grateful for from that day. At first she felt silly doing it, but within 2 weeks she was falling asleep faster. Within a month she was sleeping through the night for the first time in years, and within 3 months she called my office crying happy tears. "Dr. Harrison," she said, "I remembered every single one of my grandchildren's birthdays this year. I feel like myself again." That is the power of protecting your sleep. That is what happens when you give your brain the conditions it needs to repair, clear out toxins, and consolidate memories. To practice this habit effectively, keep a notebook and pen on your bedside table. About 20 minutes before sleep, after completing the other habits, sit comfortably with your notebook. Start with whatever is on your mind about tomorrow. Write down any tasks you need to accomplish, any appointments you need to remember, any worries nagging at you. Be specific. Get everything out of your head and onto paper. Once you have captured tomorrow's concerns, turn to a fresh section and write down 3 things you are grateful for from today. These do not need to be major events. A good cup of coffee, a pleasant conversation, the feel of sunshine on your face. The key is specificity and genuine feeling. After completing your gratitude list, close your notebook and set it aside. You are symbolically closing the chapter on today and preparing your mind for restorative sleep. And remember, this information is meant to educate and empower you, not replace the advice of your personal physician. Take what you have learned today and have a conversation with your doctor about what is right for you. Let me bring this all together for you. You now have 6 powerful science-backed habits that can transform your nights and protect your memory as you age. Cool your body down 90 minutes before bed with a warm shower and a cool bedroom. Stop eating 3 hours before sleep so your digestive system does not keep cortisol elevated. Dim your lights and block blue light 2 hours before bed so your brain knows it is actually nighttime. Practice slow, deep breathing for 10 minutes to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Release physical tension through progressive muscle relaxation to teach your body it is safe to let go. And write down tomorrow's worries along with 3 gratitudes to empty your mind and prime your brain for memory consolidation. Remember that consistency matters more than perfection. Start with 1 or 2 habits that feel most manageable and build from there. Your brain has a remarkable capacity to heal when you give it the right conditions. I have seen it happen countless times in my 40 years of practice. If you found this helpful, if you learned something today that you can use, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. I release new videos every week, specifically designed to help you take control of your health and maintain your independence as you get older. And I promise to always give you the science without the hype. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 6 habits you are going to try first. I personally read every comment, and I would love to hear from you. Take care of yourself.